Welcome to this video on the reasons that you may have anxiety when you enter the Akashic Records. And this really applies to even if you're feeling other emotional sensations when you enter the Akashic Records that might feel a little bit uncomfortable for your human. And I can say this with experience because I've experienced these things myself. And if you don't know me, my name is Laura Mazzata. I've been a holistic therapist for 20 years in New York State. And I'm an Akashic Records channel and the author of Holistic Mental Health. And I love educating people about the Akashic Records and inviting you into this space to explore it yourself, to see how the energy interacts with your energy. And I encourage you, if you haven't opened the Akashic Records before, to check out the link in the description of this video, because there's a link to a video for how to open your Akashic Records for beginners that tells you all about what they are, how to access them, and how to start bringing through information. And you can also click on the link to read about them on my website as well. So without further ado, let's chat about reasons you may have anxiety in the Akashic Records. When I first entered the Akashic Records, I had a lot of anxiety for the first couple months for sure, and probably extended to a few months. And I know that this was for a number of reasons now in retrospect. I was kind of uncovering them at the time as I was experiencing this, but it's very normal. Some people enter the Akashic Records and have a lot of physical symptoms. Some people enter and just start to cry, and some people feel super relaxed and at home. So there's no right or wrong, and it's just a good idea to stay curious and to be patient and compassionate with whatever's coming up within you when you enter this space. Okay, so one of the main reasons that we have anxiety or other emotions when we enter the Akashic Records is because of the frequency shift. We are coming from a very dense physical state, being in our physical bodies on Earth, to the highest level of dimensional energy that exists. Some people will say that the Akashic Records exist in the 7th dimension. Some say the 9th, some say the 12th. Do any of us truly know this answer? We don't. You know, we're all, even the name the Akashic Records is something that was coined by human beings to try to understand infinite energy. And we're always trying to learn, and we're always learning more about infinite energy, and we always will be, because it's infinite. So don't get too caught up in like what dimension it's in or what type of energy it is. We're working with universal energy. It's very, very high frequency energy. That's all you need to know. And so when we're doing that, we're shifting from this very dense state to a very high frequency state in a short period of time. And when you haven't been in the records a lot, this shift can feel a little shaky and rocky to your nervous system and to your human body, because it's kind of like, wait, what just happened? You know, it's just like transported to this different dimension where things are vibrating at a much higher frequency, and I just don't know how to hold it. And so our nervous systems adjust through releases of anxiety or tears, or even anger can come forward. That happened to me a number of times as well. And you'll find that as you continue to connect to the records more and more, this will get less and less. This will dissipate for you because it takes time to attune to the frequency of the records. And so we want to give time and space to adjusting to this frequency over time, which means that when you enter the records, you may want to be outside on the ground where you're really grounded. You may want to incorporate a bunch of different sensations in this experience. So you could be drinking a cup of tea, having a candle nearby, even playing some music, so that you're incorporating as many senses as you can, so the body feels more grounded as you enter this space. You can also play with entering the records in the morning or at night. Which one feels less jarring for your system? How do the records affect you? Do they energize you? Do they relax you? You may gather this information and then refine your Akashic Records experience and timing and frequency based on how it's impacting you, which means you might want to go into the records for a few minutes and then take a few days to integrate. You may want to go in for a half an hour and then go in the next day, depending on how your energy adjusts, okay? But when we're talking about anxiety in the records, I do encourage you to take some more space in between to integrate. Because a lot of times what can happen is that we get really excited about this new tool and this new way to deepen our spiritual immersion. And then we go all out. And sometimes it's just like a little much, like simmer down there, human, and take your time, because we can end up actually receiving a lot more energy than at a pace that's faster than we're ready to integrate at the time. You're never going to receive data, like codes of information and energy from the records that you're not ready to integrate, but you can also make yourself a little dizzy if you're entering this space too often at the beginning. And we want to integrate slowly. That's the purpose of this. Okay, so you might find that if you go in too quickly, you're not really getting much information. And that's because they're likely just trying to integrate the codes with you and for you and assist you with this adjustment. Okay, so that's one reason that we can have anxiety in the records. The other reason, and by the way, you may feel a lot of physical symptoms with the anxiety as well when you're adjusting to this frequency. So you may find that you are lightheaded. You may find you have tingling sensations in the body, or your heart is racing, or you're a little short of breath. Those things can absolutely occur. And so even if you don't have anxiety in the conscious mind, you may have it in the body as well. Okay, so the other thing is that you are expanding consciousness when you enter the Akashic Records, and you almost get anxiety around, oh my gosh, the magnitude of the energy that I can hold is kind of immense. And that can feel a little daunting, because you can get up there and be like, oh, holy shit, like, all right, I'm more powerful than I thought I was, or wow, I have access to all of this, like I'm holding a lot right now. And it almost feels like a giant responsibility, or like, what am I supposed to do with all of this? Can happen as well. So it's almost like you're like twitching into this next level of consciousness, right? Because people who come to this work are intuitive and they're sensitive. And the more intuitive and the more sensitive you are, and the less experience that you have in this space, you're going to feel this energy is very intense. It's going to feel very intense. And so it can feel like a little bit of a rocky start sometimes, to be like, whoa, okay, this is a lot of energy, right? But the more that you feel it, the more evidence you have that you can attune to this energy, and that you are feeling it, and that you do have a relationship with it, and that the records are calling to you, and that it is working, and you are being impacted, which is really good. It's like data for you, because we're always looking for data as human beings, right? But it's a little bit of like, this part of the anxiety is more in your mind, and it might not be conscious, it might be subconscious, but almost like, whoa, this is a lot to hold. Can I do it? Do I want to hold this level of responsibility? Is there a big amount of responsibility in this, right? Where really all we have to do is just channel, right? All we have to do is just channel and show up and be the vessel to share whatever messages are coming forward, or to allow the healing and the upgrades to come through. The third reason that you might have anxiety in the records is that it's very similar to the last one. So I'm actually going to share this one right close to this one, which is, it's a very giant, expansive space. It's it's infinite, right? It's huge, further than the eye could ever see. So you open this space and you get into the records and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like full of everything. And it can feel kind of unsafe to the human, because it's almost like you're walking out into an open field in the middle of the night and there's nobody there, but there's like a bunch of spirits, and it's a place you've never been before, and you don't know how to navigate it. And there's like all of this energy and all of this information coming at you at once. And you're like, okay, then. And like I said, you may not know that there's information coming at you, but energetically there is, and it's just encoded in the frequency of the energy. So your body's receiving it, and your energy field is receiving it, even if you don't consciously understand it. And so sometimes, people really need to tether to the body. That's why in my video that you'll see in the description here, I take you through a meditation to ground your energy and to really balance your energy before you enter that space, because it can almost feel like, for instance, again, I've been a therapist for 20 years. People who have panic attacks when they go into enclosed spaces or really wide open spaces, they can feel very unsafe. Their nervous systems start to freak out, like, I need an escape route, and so it can feel that way sometimes, especially if you've had a history of anxiety when you enter the space of the Akashic Records, because it's just this huge expansive space. And sometimes it can feel like too much. Sometimes it can feel like there's too much to navigate. It's too big. And so this is where the trust comes in, and we really allow our guides and our angels and source to be able to guide us very gently and only to the little pockets that are aligned with our integration in that moment. And we can trust that. But our minds freak out, right? And our bodies have an adjustment as well. And then the last reason that you might have anxiety in the Akashic Records is because the records don't mess around. Like, they're very straight and to the point. They're very bold, and they uncover and unveil your deepest shit if you are ready to see it and you are ready to integrate it. Like, you are seen in the records. You are seen for exactly who you are. And a lot of people are not ready to see that. Even if they say they are, a lot of people really struggle with that. Even if they feel they're ready, they really struggle with that. And so it's this feeling of like, I don't know if I'm ready to integrate everything they're bringing forward. Like, I don't know if I want to see this part of me. I don't know if I want to see all of me. There's some resistance in the human. And that was part of my anxiety when I first went into the records, because it was kind of like, all right, I know I got a lot of shit to move. And when I first started working with this, I was very physically ill. And so I had a lot of physical adjustment to make, because I was very sick, which means I was at an even denser energy. And so I had further space I needed to attune to. And so I remember going into that space, and they were very eager, and very excited to have me there to receive and to heal and to learn and to expand. And it was like, I didn't want to hear it, and I think part of it is because I was just so tired, and I just didn't feel well. And I was like, I just don't really know if I want to do that. Like, you're guiding me here, you're guiding me there. And I'm like, I don't feel like it. Like, I just don't want to do that. I was like having a tantrum. I was having a human tantrum about resisting change and resisting what I was being called to do by my soul, because my human was afraid, and my human was tired, and my human was burnt out, and my human did not have a deep enough faith in this space to be able to receive what they were offering me and know with confidence that it was going to change my life and expand who I am entirely. So that's the other reason, is like, they're gonna tell you straight. They're very gentle, they're very compassionate, but they're also very bold. And spirit is very loving, but also very direct in this space. And that's why I love it, because it's super efficient and super effective. People that I've worked with for years who have been in traditional therapy, who were hitting their heads against the wall, they tried everything, and they were making progress, but it was very, very small, and they kept going through the same cycles. You enter this space, and it's just straight shooter right to the core, right to the core. And that's because they were ready. And some people will get frustrated in this space because they're not getting answers right away. I talk about that in my other video as well, the beginner's video, but they're not getting answers right away. It took me a number of months to really get clear, precise answers that were being channeled through. But I knew that I was feeling better, and I knew that something was working. And that's why I kept returning to it when I first started going into this space. And so know that sometimes we are meant to receive information in breadcrumbs, and sometimes we're meant to receive information in a tidal wave. It depends on where you are. It depends on what you're ready to integrate. And this is where we trust that that spirit knows what is best for our journey. So, okay. I just want to see, I had a couple solutions written down, and I've shared those, like the time of day that you play with being in the records, opening the records outside, opening for a short period of time, and then gradually adding time as you get adjusted. The other thing, there's a few other things that I'll suggest for solutions to assist with the anxiety in the records. One is to just sit in the energy and receive rather than doing anything in this space. Like if you already have a meditation practice or another practice that you really enjoy doing that's very soothing, just open the Akashic Records and then do that practice. Something that you're used to, something that you're accustomed to. And you don't have to do anything in the records either. And I mentioned this in my other video, that you can literally just what I call take a light bath, just receive energy. Allow guides to just love on you, take care of you, pamper you, however you want to put it. You don't have to search for answers. You don't have to create healing. You don't have to, download giant modalities of information. Like just sit there or walk. If you don't want to sit still, take a walk out in nature, open the records, take a walk out in nature, play some music if you want, come back, close the records. Okay. And some people will ask me, do I need to close the records? And at the beginning, when you're first starting out, I do recommend it. The records are frequency based. So once you no longer match that frequency, they're going to naturally close on their own. But some people can feel pretty vulnerable if they keep them open. Even if you don't think about it consciously, subconsciously, they can feel more vulnerable if they keep them open. Where actually it's the opposite way around. You're not more vulnerable. You're actually more supported when you keep them open. But again, if you keep it open for a long period of time and you're not used to this energy, it can feel like a lot for your system. So I do encourage you to close the records if you're at the beginning of your journey. Okay, 2 more things. The other 2 things that I recommend to feel more grounded and safe and centered in the Akashic Records is to invite a guide with you. Like if there's a guide that you work with or a loved one who has passed or an angel or source or God, your higher self, invite them with you to go into the records. You can invite them before you open the records, or once you get in there, just invite them in. Just to hold your hand and be your companion while you're in that space. And develop a relationship with them that's more immersive and deep than you already have. Because we're used to cultivating relationships on the planet. We're used to how do we communicate with other people when we start getting to know someone, understanding how they communicate, X, Y, and Z. Same thing goes in the records. So if you communicate and develop a relationship with one guide in particular, it can feel more comfortable to be like, hey, I'm going to go visit Archangel Michael today. I'm going to go visit Goddess Saraswati today, or whoever it is, or my grandmother, and just connect and allow that relationship and connection and conversation to really be almost like breaking the ice, to enter into a comfort level of energetic exchange and participation in the space of the Akashic Records. Okay. And lastly, the other thing I will say is this is one of the things that I teach my Akashic Records certification clients is create your own home in the space of the Akashic Records. This helps a lot. You go up there. It doesn't have to feel like this big, giant, expansive space. Find a little nook. Find a little nook in the records that feels nice and cozy for you, and snuggle up in there and create your own space in your imagination. Decorate it how you want. Bring in some cozy blankets and pillows. Create some dim lighting. Put on a diffuser if you want. Put on some music. Make it your own. This is your spiritual anchor point. This is your spiritual home. And all of my clients have said that when they go into the space, it feels like home. And it absolutely is. And that is what it's meant to feel like for you. Yes, that can take some time, but we can use the gift of our imagination to assist us with cultivating a sense of comfort and ease in this space that feels like we're going somewhere that feels familiar and feels comfortable. So get creative with it and just play. And let me know how it goes. Comment in this video if there's other areas that anxiety or guilt or shame or anger have shown up for you in the Akashic Records, and I'm happy to tune in and offer additional suggestions for you. But if you really want to go in depth to connect with this energy, book a vibrational assessment with me. It's $97. It's a 15 to 20 minute one-on-one Zoom call. I can connect with your energy and how this Akashic energy uniquely connects through you. or answer another question that you like if that serves you. And then we can talk about, if you desire to have a deeper dive into the Akashic Records, how you can heal yourself with this energy, how you can feel like a really clear, confident guide for other people with this energy, and just feel really secure and confident within yourself as you integrate these unseen spiritual concepts with your day-to-day human life. That's my favorite thing to do, is to really make this tangible and concrete so that you understand how these really multidimensional, otherworldly concepts actually play out in our human lives. And you can actually find a playlist on my YouTube called the Akashic Updates. And that's where I share a lot of wisdom that come forward from my own individual work with clients, and just energy that's coming through for the collective in terms of how is this divine energy working through humanity and co-creating with us to allow us to embody more of our divinity as we interact with other people, go through our day-to-day routine, and navigate what naturally comes up in the human. So thank you so much for participating in this video with me. I always love to hear your feedback below. Definitely like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to get updates on tapping videos that I upload, other Akashic videos, meditations, and of course, Akashic updates. I hope to see you soon, and have a wonderful day.